Hi, everybody. This is Andrea Paquette, and I am president and co founder of the Stigma-Free Society. I am very privileged to be here today because I'm interviewing an amazing woman, Julia Stine. And I'm very inspired by the work that she does in stomping out stigma, talking about mental health, and most importantly, sharing her personal story. So, thank you so much, Julia, for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this interview for a while.
Nice. And we've been looking forward to talking with you as well. So I just want to share a little bit about your bio, and it's pretty impressive and really unique. So
Thank
I
you.
would love to just share a bit about you.
Go for it.
Julia is a Christian actress and mental health advocate residing in Denver metro area. So you are far away from Vancouver, Canada.
Yes. All the way in Colorado.
Wow, that's awesome. After coming out about the sexual assaults she went through as a child to her immediate family and going through years of therapy, in 2017, she posted, "My name is Julia. I'm a rape victim." Then in 2019, she began Daily Growth, which was a video series of her practicing self reflection every day on her Instagram stories. Her interests in visual arts and media led to her making the YouTube channel Julia's Daily Growth in Christ, where she shares her perspectives on real life problems, provides hotlines helping people if they're victims of maltreatment, shares challenges that she experiences in her daily life, and expresses her dependency on the gospel. Outside of advocacy, she likes to participate in film projects and practice the performing arts. So, Julia, I just have to say, as we were talking about earlier, there seems to be a real stigma, I don't know, against religion a lot of the times, or even if somebody identifies with Christianity. It's not something we ever talk about at the Stigma Free Society. So thank you for bringing that topic and being very open and talking about how Christ has played a role in your life. So, did you want to share a little bit about that and perhaps how that's influenced you?
Yes, of course. If anything, I was a child and I grew up in a Christian household. It was very confusing for me because I went to a lot of what us called deceived churches, where they preach the word based on their own. So it's like narcissistic preaching, where they are putting people on the spot specifically, like preaching against a specific person or preach based on to kind of justify their behavior up with a narcissistic kind of atmosphere in my family. So it was very confusing for me to understand what it was to be a Christian. And that kind of evolved with me hanging out with people who, even like you said, had a negative impact or a negative view towards Christians in general. I hung out with people who said, "Oh, I burned the Bible," or saying stuff like, "Oh, all Christians are hateful." And I even got into this rhythm of, "Oh, I came from a Christian family," and usually talking to people who said that, it meant, "Oh, I came from a super judgmental, hateful family." And that was a sort of attitude that would go towards people who were associated with the faith. And now that I have what you call been saved and had officially recommitted my life to Christ, and that has helped me see how the idea and the stigma behind Christianity has evolved to what it is today. And a lot of that is there's some parts of the Bible that have been misperceived and mistranslated. And people will take little itty bitty parts out of context and create a whole new stigma about what the Bible is trying to teach.
So,
And
Julia, what I was just curious. I know you're passionate about this and you want to keep going, but I'm going to interject once in a while.
go for it.
So, yeah, I was just curious. So this all relates to Julia's Daily Growth channel. And can you tell me about you and how you created this channel out of all of your beliefs? And I'd love to hear about how that all translated into this activism.
Thank you. Yes. So When I was younger, I've always kind of had this need for activism. Even though I never did anything as I'm doing now, when I was younger, I wrote out little posters and said, "Stop bullying." And I put them around my neighborhood. I would do little things like, oh, just leave food out for homeless people. I was always desperate to give food to homeless people. I was a part of 4-H, which was a big part of activism and volunteering. So that was something that kind of was evolved into my childhood. And when I got older and I started getting familiar with technology and social media, I'd been on social media my entire life. My mom gave me a Facebook page when I was 9. So I had learned kind of how to use them. And when I approached my first video that I posted on YouTube, other than like one other softball one, I was like, I can use this to share my voice. And that's when I made My Name is Julia. I'm a rape victim. And that kind of, I got distracted in my own life after I made that video. But I realized how I began to stray away from development and my mental health. I started to party and just kind of get distracted with my own kind of, let's just have fun and not worry about things. But then I started seeing how my mental health needed a lot of work. And that's when I came up with the idea of these stories and self reflecting, something I'd practice in therapy when I was in high school,
Yeah.
and also something that church usually tries to get us to do as well. So I was able to, yeah, start daily growth in that way.
Nice. And what kind of mental health challenges have you come up against? Like, what have you dealt with? If you don't mind sharing a little bit about your story and, what did you come up against and how did you deal with that?
I think a main thing for me was anxiety. Really bad in my family. My mom's side of the family is super, has to be perfect. Everything has to be spot on. We have to be on time. Like, I mean, that's a great, there's times where anxiety is helpful. Like, I need to be on time, and that's something that I need to hold accountable. But there's times where perfection shouldn't be the goal, and failure isn't bad. And that was hard for me to translate when I was younger, just because I felt like a lot of people were expecting a lot out of me. And it could have also been how I was translating it, which evolves as you grow up and as you learn. Um, but one thing I had to learn for sure is that it's okay if things don't go right the first
Mhm.
time. It's okay if things aren't perfect. You'll learn from it, and then it'll be easier to get things done the way you want them to because it was wrong the first time.
Yeah, I think that perfectionism for a lot of people is so anxiety inducing and to the point where we're always, I know for myself, sometimes afraid to make a mistake or do something wrong when really that's human, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. It's definitely human.
Definitely. Okay, I was wondering about visual arts and media and your interest in these areas. Can you just share a little bit about that? Like, what have you done with such interests, and what have been some outputs from it and influences in your life?
For sure. I'm glad you asked this because it's a huge part of my mental health. Really, art is very great for expressing emotion and being able to understand it. And I learned this when I was young. My mom put me in theater when I was a little girl. I remember I was a little cow when I was like 4 for Jack and the Beanstalk. I think I knocked my brother over. And then later I was in choir. Then as I got older, I got interested into theater arts. During middle school, I took a class. In high school, I was in improv. My freshman year of high school, I actually wanted to start acting seriously the way I am now, like get involved with an agency and stuff. But softball, which was a sport I was actively a part of, kind of took away from that dream of mine. And I went through a whole thing where I got involved with softball, expecting it to take me through college. And in the end, it wasn't what was carrying me over. When I started acting again in 2017, when I moved to Colorado, I started realizing this was a passion that I had since I was young, and I shouldn't have strayed away from it. But that's okay because I learned. And then once I got involved, I just started going to auditions, took acting classes, met people. I'm a part of an improv troupe right now, started by my good friend Derek from the acting class I was from. And that's just a lot of fun, just collabing with all these actors who have the same creative mindset as you. And the cool thing, one thing we're trying to emphasize in the improv troupe that I'm just joined is the development of art is it's a process. It doesn't start with one good idea. It starts with a general idea, and then as you practice what that general idea is, you start understanding the specifics, which is a lot like mental health growth. So that's why I like to mention it. I like to get involved with the arts and include it in my growth as a human being as well.
Awesome. And I was also thinking, when we look at your YouTube channel and your videos, Julia's Daily Growth, it's a lot of reflection there, right? And how has that been healing for you, if at all?
So the reflection is the most important part in my health. That is what I found. Accepting that, looking at my actions, looking at how I handle certain things, and accepting that I might be wrong was one of the biggest lessons in this Instagram stories that I learned was I am might be handling this the wrong way. My brain isn't perfect. Like the way I perceive what might be happening and the way the situation might be going might seem like it's like something I should fight, and something I should stand up for, when in reality it's something I could learn from. And I think that was one thing about growing up in a narcissistic atmosphere is the blame and constantly putting my actions on someone else, and it's something I'm still learning to do to this day. Um, but thanks to self reflection, noticing what I'm doing, how I'm talking to people, and how I'm behaving, and how that itself might be the core issue. And how can I change that? How can I be the better person that I want to be?
I really love that. And, you identified obviously some trauma in your childhood. And I was curious, like you're talking about the arts and the improv and how that feels very healing and being around people that are like you. You feel like you can really identify with them and your videos. Is there anything else like you can suggest to people that's been very helpful for you as an individual having gone through such traumas that perhaps you can help them?
Yes, one thing for sure is talking about your trauma. It's the most important thing for me. I was able to talk to my brother because we were involved. He was the one who assaulted me when I was younger. And our relationship is very rare because hardly, first of all, not many people talk about the fact that they've been assaulted or come to terms with the fact that they have been misused and a part of maltreatment. And that itself, denying the facts, the truth of what had happened, is very psychologically damaging in a lot of different ways. I experienced just, I lied a lot when I was younger. I lived a life I wanted to live, but in reality, I was living the life I was living. And so I tried to portray this person, this happy go lucky child who wasn't struggling at all. And then I was in my room just hating myself and hating what was going on in my head and feeling that darkness and just wishing I could break through. And all I had to do was be honest about it. And that was something I had to learn when I finally came out about it in my high school year is I couldn't even say what had happened. I just kind of worked around the assault itself. And my mom, thank God for her, I bless her, she was able to kind of understand what I was saying and translate it for me. But when I got to the point where I was able to accept that I am a rape victim, that itself was super powerful and was accepting, what I had gone through and accepting that it is possible to heal from it. And the
Yeah,
more, yeah.
I love that. No, that is so important, and that's a really strong message. It is possible to heal from it. What was there a defining moment for you during that transition from trauma to healing where you were just like, wow, like I feel not like you're never over it. And that's not what I'm saying, but where you felt like this healing was really, really beginning.
Yeah, the little things, like
Mhm.
it's sometimes hard to tell at first because there's a lot, that comes with healing from trauma. Like you'll run into one other thing after the other that you have to work on. It feels like never ending at first.
A lot of layers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And there's stuff that comes up now in my adulthood that I never would have thought would have hit me in my childhood.
Mhm.
So there might be new stuff that come, but the stuff that I had worked on in the past, I have overcome. And there's patterns in my behavior and how I feel about myself and my body. Um, One thing I'm hoping to start advocating is natural beauty and not like loving who you are fully without makeup, without a cover, without whatever you want to create, make the world see, just being real to the world. That has become easier for me. And I think a lot of that comes from is like an after effect of the healing that I've gone through. Because of what happened to me, I would translate it to who I am, and now I'm separating that. So I'll notice little things like I'm able, first of all, to talk about it. That's a big step for most people. But now I can just do it easily. I'll tell my coworker, yeah, I'm an advocate for sexual assault because I went to it when I was a child. And they're like, wow. And I'm
Wow.
like, well, that's just something I've learned to do after years and years of practice.
Yeah.
Um, you're less fearful of how people will think about it. Uh, I think one thing for me is how would my family feel about me coming out about a family member assaulting me?
Mhm.
That fear has gone away almost completely.
Yeah.
And that's only through time and only through practice.
Yeah, and obviously such a tumultuous step to take and how difficult for you. So I really commend you for your bravery and courage.
Thank you.
It's amazing. And I also love what you're talking about with self-love. I am also really an advocate for natural beauty and embracing yourself. I find it really hard to do to this day.
Mhm.
I have, I remember I had a picture. I was sitting and you could see the cellulite on the side of my leg, right? I'm like, I'm posting that. And you just want to be real and like not, and I don't even wear makeup only for like things like this, really. But yeah, I know what you mean about like promoting just embracing who you are in the flesh completely with no makeup and just who you are. So has that been really successful for yourself?
Definitely. So when I was younger, I would get, like I said, I was dealing with perfectionist issues, especially with looks. I would do makeup and there was times where I would put my hair up because I just give up on my natural hair. Like this is my natural hair right now. And that was because I just didn't want to, like I just kept noticing all the flaws and I realized I was distracting myself by all these materialistic things like, oh, my shirt is kind of off, I'm not going to wear it again. Or, oh, my hair is kind of off, I'm just going to put it up and just have it be done. And those things I just don't worry about anymore because especially with, I gotta say, when you start filming yourself and putting it on a public forum, you do start to notice little details here and there. But the more I see myself on a camera, which is another thing about like being a model and acting and being in front of a camera, the more I get used to it because that's just who I am. And those flaws and flaws are no longer distracting me. And that's, yeah, I'm glad it's not distracting me anymore.
No, it's really good. I find sometimes too, I can trail back though, for me, and like I'll be feeling really confident in my own skin, and sometimes I trail back and then I get it again. There's really no perfect places. There's always a growing experience with so many things. Yeah,
Definitely.
I was
Yeah.
curious as well. Let me think. For the challenges that you faced with mental health, I know you talk about sharing your personal story, being vocal, and you've really gone beyond just being vocal, but also being like the visual and the videos and the channel. Has there been any other treatments or therapies or things that you have found helpful for your darker times?
Yeah, for sure. I said I did therapy in high school. I did it pretty intensively for like 2 or 3 years. I Don't get me wrong, I wanna start up again because um, there's something about talking to a professional about what's going on in your head. Of course, now I'm studying psychology, and that helps me understand myself as well. I just took a psychology class like not too long ago because it's my major, and I was just reading through it and I'm like, oh, and I'm just learning more about myself by understanding the biology of our own brain. And that's something that helped me as well. The therapist offered me skills that I use to this day. I learned about the emotional scale, and I learned about just practicing self reflection, which is something I led to do with daily growth. Originally, that was the sole purpose of daily growth, was figuring out how to help myself because I couldn't afford a therapist, which evolved into like self help, but now it's like more I'm depending on Jesus. And that's something that I've depend on heavenly is prayer. And it's just another source for me to let myself out to something or someone who I can trust with my own dark and even scary thoughts, you know?
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. We all have our own ways, and I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
I was curious as well. Say, you're very young. You're like 21, like double you, and you still haven't reached me, like for age. Believe it or not. Just kidding. One of the things that is really amazing is your age and what you're doing, and I see a real sense of maturity. And if there's other young people out there who have gone through or are going through some of these very difficult traumas and challenges and mental health issues, do you have a message for them?
Absolutely. When I was a kid, it felt like I couldn't do anything about what was going on. And I felt isolated. I felt like I was alone. I felt like I couldn't reach out to anyone. I made it seem, like, oh, happy, I make everyone happy in the room, but that was just an image I was playing off. In reality, I was alone and I didn't think I could talk to anyone. I wasn't even close, like, I wasn't even honest with my real friends. And there is situations that little kids are stuck in that they feel like they're trapped in and they can't do anything about. That power is there. You just have to believe it's there. You just have to know that you can do it. You can pull yourself together. There's researches out there. I literally provide them in each of my videos. I make sure there's phone and hotlines that people can use to get out of these situations, because people like us, we understand and we know what you're going through. You're not alone. You're not the only one who is dealing with this, first of all. But that doesn't mean that what you're going through doesn't deserve attention and doesn't deserve to be, worked through. So if I have a message for anyone who's younger than me or my age who still feels like they're stuck in a very tough situation, there is people out there who want to help you. You do have strength. You do have a voice. You can speak out and stand up for yourself. There is decisions you can make that can make your life easier and get through healing. There is some really rough situations that seem like you can't get out of them, and I assure you that we can help you. Like, there's people who commit their lives to this, who literally, like, that's my goal. I want to be one of those people who can get you out of that situation. And there's already people like that out there. So if you just look, like, everyone has a phone nowadays. Some people are restricted in phones. Um, but even like reaching out to the people you may be around with in school, your teachers, even though it seems like there's a lot of fear that comes with coming out about what's going on with you, but don't worry about that fear. Okay, just push it away and try to reach out to someone nearby. Try to reach out a family member that you might trust or a friend you might trust. They can help you. Like something can happen as long as you're trying to make the steps towards healing.
What is your channel? How can people find you?
My channel is Julia's Daily Growth in Christ. You can just look that up. It usually comes up right when you write Julia's Daily Growth. I also have an Instagram. It's mainly updating on videos for my channel. Each one of those videos has hotline numbers and text lines and websites that can help you guys out. If you want to check out my Facebook page, it's Daily Growth. It should be really easy to find. Just look it in Facebook. And yeah, those are my main social medias and
And
profiles.
are you taking speaking requests right now, or how are you growing your advocacy for as a mental health advocate?
Well, right now I am slowing my videos down a little bit because I have been focusing a lot on some opportunities God has brought up for me, like the improv troupe. I'm in school. I'm going to be posting some more videos, but I have been posting a lot less. That's okay though, because I'm still active. You can message me on Instagram. My email is also provided in my YouTube channel if you want to communicate to me that way. I'm also hoping to do more stuff like this, where I talk to more mental health advocates and yeah, share my story.
Amazing. And I also really like this whole sharing of hotlines. If you're in Canada, we have what's called the Kids Help Phone, available across every single province in the country. As well, we have BC 211 where you can find resources. With Kids Help Phone 2, there's a resources around me page where you can reach out to so many different organizations. And we have the suicide hotline all on our page, stigmafreesociety.com. All right, Julia. I think, I feel so much more inspired about my day. You're just magnetic. And thank you so much for meeting with me on the Stigma Free Society page on Facebook. And I wish you the absolute best of luck. Just stay on the broadcast as I end this. And I'd love to thank you and have a beautiful day, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys. Bye bye.